Well, hello. It has been quite a long time since I've made a video like this. Probably too long. I don't want to go too long without making videos like this because it's good to reminisce. It's good to reflect on, books and stuff, I guess. I don't know. But I will be talking about two books actually because I never made a Bone Hunters review for book 6 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. And I mean, a lot of reasons. Life, just I don't know, life gets ahead of you sometimes, and a lot of personal stuff. But I finished Bone Hunters, Book 6 of Malazan, and I finished Book 7 as well. So I figured why not put them both together. Quick little, well, I don't know about quick, but I'll make Bone Hunters pretty quick because I finished Bone Hunters, I don't know, like January. So it's been quite some time. I finished Reaper's Gale, Book 7. I finished this book a couple weeks ago, but I took some time off, family, my birthday and stuff, just to kind of, let it simmer, let it marinate, let it kind of just stew and stir in my mind. And I have a lot of good things to say about Bone Hunters. I have a lot of bad things to say about Reaper's Gale, and I thought, why not make a video about it and kind of talk about it for a little bit as we ramp up to Book 8. I have Book 8 right here, actually, if I can get it. But Book 8, Toll the Hounds. I have not started yet, so I figure I will probably start this week or so. Another behemoth, another fucking it's like I'm reading the Bible every fucking month or something like that. It's kind of ridiculous. It's a lot, but I enjoy this series. I enjoy this book series. I enjoy I enjoy the writing. So let's get into it. Book 6. To be honest, I don't remember. I'm not gonna hit every single plot point because a lot happens in these books, and a lot kind of carries over to other books, obviously. And it's been a long time since I've even read this book, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about scenes and talk about characters that kind of resonated with me, and things that I really enjoyed and things I didn't enjoy. In Book 6. Book 6 right now is probably I think it's my favorite Malazan book out of the 7 I've read so far. And I don't say that lightly, because Book 3, Memories of Ice, is, I think, one of the best books in literature that I have read, at least. Book 6 feels like a homecoming, in a sense. I wasn't super hot on Book 4. I love Book 5. Book 5 was amazing. But Book 6 just feels like a homecoming. We're coming back to a lot of our main characters. You have Perrin coming back. Tavor. You have Karsa. You have... who else? Quick Ben. You have Kalam. You have all these characters who... we haven't really seen in a minute. I mean, we haven't seen Perrin since Book 3. Tavor we saw in Book 4. So my initial thought reading Bone Hunters was, this feels like a homecoming. It feels like all my friends are coming back together. We're coming back. We're getting shit done. We're doing stuff. And Book 6, what a start, man. It more or less takes place right after the events of Book 4. After Shaik or Felicin dies. So it takes place right after the Book 4 and it kind of takes place right after that. And I'm trying to remember, it's been so long. The big event in the early part of the book is the Siege of Ygatan. And my God, that, I mean, Christ, how many pages is that chapter? That one chapter alone, I think that chapter alone is like over 100 pages. I think it's longer than the fucking Harry Potter book 1. Like, it's a long chapter, man. And it's just a whole siege of a city being on fire. And Erickson does a very beautiful job in evoking this sense of claustrophobia. And I wouldn't say I'm very claustrophobic, but reading that chapter, I became claustrophobic reading that chapter. There's only so much you can really do in a scene like that when you have a whole group of people kind of, digging under a city and trying to navigate under a city. There's only so much you can really describe, because at some point you're all seeing the same thing. It's just kind of dirt and dust. So you start to hallucinate and you start to kind of make shit up in your own head. And I think that it was very beautiful how he kind of described that and kind of showed the different mental state of each character and like where they are at mentally, in the grand scheme of not only in this battle but in everything. I mean, Tavor as a leader, and I like Tavor as a leader. We don't really get much POV with her. We do later on in book 6, but it's never really explained what her thinking process is. And I know that's by design. Stephen Erickson has stated before that he doesn't really. Tavor is like one of the most important characters in the series, which is very weird because she has such little POV. Like, we were never really in her mind that often, so we don't really know why she does the things she does. Right? We don't know why she's going to the city. We don't know why she is so fixated on. Eventually in book 7, we find out they go to Letherus. We don't know, but everyone on her crew still supports her, and it's not like an immediate support, like, right, like it's not immediately like a lot of them have skepticism and a lot of them have doubts, right, because it's like you're walking us to our deaths, like what's happening here. But like after the Battle of Ygatan, the Bone Hunters, hence the title, the Bone Hunters are created. They're literally made by fire. They're forged by fire. They're forged out of this burned down city, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's a very, like, I don't know, just the symbolism of it is very evocative. I don't know. I like that. It's kind of like you're throwing away your past and building a new one, in a sense, because they're no longer the Malazan army now. They're the Bone Hunters, and you get more into that. You get into what that really means later in book 7. What are we? Even some of the soldiers are kind of like, what are we even anymore? Where are we? We're no longer part of this empire. We're now part of this other militia army. So what is our purpose? And to be honest, even after reading book 7, I still don't really know what their purpose is. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe book 8, we'll talk more about that. I'm trying to think. So we have, what happens in book 6? So much happens in book 6. Book 6 is like just 2 books kind of shoved together, man. And I won't spend too much time on book 6 because I do want to talk about book 7 a little bit too. But overall, man, book 6 was just an amazing fucking book. The only kind of like downsides I found books, Karsa Orlong. I loved Karsa in book 4. Book 4 as a whole was kind of meh for me. Karsa kind of carried book 4 a lot for me. I like his journey. I like where he starts off at in book 4, and I feel like he doesn't really do much in book 6. And he doesn't really do much in book 7 either. Spoiler alert, I guess. So yeah, I don't. He kind of just is walking around. I do like sort of him and Samar Dev. I kind of like their dynamic in book 6. It gets kind of weird in book 7, but I like their dynamic in book 6, whereas like Karsa is sort of this stereotypical barbarian that kind of represents, I don't know, just sort of, I don't want to say primitive people, but he's a barbarian. Like, he comes from, tribes and things like that. He just thinks more of like with might versus his mind, I guess. Where Samar Dev she's an engineer. Like, she's also, a witch. She uses magic, but she's also an engineer, and she represents more civilization, society. And I do like their kind of like their little like philosophical musings of back and forth, like, what is progress? What is society? What does it mean? What does society mean? What is good for society? I do like a lot of that, and I think overall, that is necessary for Karsa's development, because If he's going to become a very functioning person in society, he can't go in killing shit all the time, you know? And I think that's the one thing about Carcer that I don't love all the time. I mean, he is a badass, but I've some, like, you know, it's kind of the same classic thing with Carcer, whereas, like, a bunch of people are like, oh my god, you can't, this is impossible, you can't do this thing, this is impossible. And then Carcer does that thing that everyone thinks is impossible. And it's cool in the moment, and it's badass, and it's awesome, and it's cool, and I love seeing it. But sometimes I want him to be humbled, you know? It's like, I want him to be humbled a little bit. I want him to, like, go into a situation thinking he's going to be hot shit and then getting the shit kicked out of him. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I have to use my brain sometimes. I can't just use my brute force all the time. And maybe, and, you know, maybe that might happen, but so far he's been, I don't know, it's been working out for him so far. He just uses his brute strength, and I guess he used a little bit of his brains with Roulette, and I mean, that's all book 7, but I'll get into that in book 7. I need some water. So book 6. Is there anything else? I mean, Perrin Ganowis, the man is awesome. I love his little, like, I love how he sort of has taken ownership of being the master of the deck. When book 3, you kind of saw that he was very hesitant, very, I don't know, just didn't really, I mean, I guess we as a reader didn't really know what that entailed. I guess we still don't really know what it means, to be quite honest. I guess just he controls the game of the house of the deck of dragons and things like that. Which, yeah, I still don't really know what that means. I'm 7 books in, I still don't know what that means. That's crazy. But I enjoy that he, you know, he gets a little bit of a glow up, gets a little bit of self-confidence. He's like, all right, I'm a fucking deck master now, you know? Let's go, let's do this. And I think that's pretty badass. The way he kills Paulille is, like, pretty badass too. You know, I think that was pretty cool. Just murders a goddess. I think that's pretty cool. We do run to Apsalar. We do see Absol a little bit. I'm still waiting on, like, where does she fit in this story? Because I know in book in book 1 she gets possessed by a cotillion, and then that gets resolved by the end of book 1. And you're kind of, now she is dealing with all of these, like, memories of, like, being possessed by a god, and, like, those ramifications, and, you know, like, is she even the same person anymore? Like, she has all these, like, memories that she doesn't have, that she didn't know, and stuff like that. And that's really cool. And it makes her a badass because she has all these, like, powerful, like, god memories and shit. So I think that's pretty cool. But I just kind of feel like, well, where does this fit into the overall story? And I guess not every character needs to fit into the overall story. And I mean, and not every story has. I mean, we'll get into that in book 7, but a lot of characters make me have untimely deaths. Characters who I thought were going to be towards, you know, at the very end of the series, but evidently not. Their storylines end pretty abruptly, and I'll more or less get into that as well. Yeah, I've been talking about Bone Hunters too much. So Bone Hunters overall is a great book. I love it. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite books so far. It's great. It's awesome. I love it so much. Yeah, the ending's amazing too. I didn't even talk about Malaz City. Fuck, dude. My God, so much happens in these books. God damn it. But yeah, so Malaz City. I just feel like so much was happening in those scenes that I don't have the full context of the story, I just feel like a lot of those conversations just kind of went over my head. You have the Empress talking to Devore, Empress talking to Kalam, and obviously the Empress. I think the most interesting thing, because in the beginning of the series in book 1, the Empress is kind of built up as this, like, very, very tactical, very impressive, very resourceful person, right? She started this coup. She overthrew the emperor. She took control of the the talons, and now she has the claws, which is her own personal assassin, group of assassins that follow her. And I feel like in book one we're kind of led to believe that, oh wow, this woman she means her shit. Like, she's a very important, she's a very, like, she knows what she's doing. But looking back, we get hints of this back in book two as well. Is that when she coals, I guess, yeah, coals a lot of the nobles, and she does the same thing with the Wiccans, where she is like, hey, seven cities was a fucking disaster. My bad, everybody. But hey, let's just kill the Wiccans and we can take their land. The Wiccans helped win the war. The Wiccans, Coltane sacrifice. One of the most beautiful scenes in book two. One of the most beautiful scenes ever that I have ever read. And it's now painting Lysine as someone who maybe has bit off more than she can chew. Like, maybe, oh shit, it takes a lot of fucking manpower, and it's a lot of power and responsibility and a lot of diligence to overthrow an empire and take control of it. So yeah, I think Lysine maybe has bit off more than she can chew. And we're seeing a little bit of that because now she's working with Radek Gnome and Corporal Dom, who, we know are bad people, bad guys. Or at least don't have good intentions and good motives. We still don't really know what Lysine motives are. And I think this was a very defining moment for Tavor, because Lysine kind of offers up, like, hey, you can help me run this empire, and we can overthrow Kobolar Dom and Malikrel. Oh, so many names sound the same, dude. And Tavor kind of says, fuck off, I'm not going to do that. And I think that kind of was a defining moment for Tavor, because that means Tavor, she's the type of person that if you give her options A and B, she chooses C. She's like, no, I'm not doing that. I refuse to kill the Wiccans. I refuse to kill off these people who helped us, fight in a war and everything. Which I think is beautiful. I think that's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's been like 20 minutes talking about book 6. So book 6 is amazing. I love book 6. It's awesome. Oh my god, it's so great. It's so amazing. I love this book. Next. Okay, now book 7. I hate this book. 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 No, I don't hate it, but it's just like, it's just not, it was a slog, dude. It took me 2 months to read book 7, which is like, I don't know. This is like a 800 fucking page book, man. She's thick, like 10 C's. But where do we even begin? Where do we even begin with this book? So book 7 takes place. It's technically so. It's sort of the sequel to book 5, but also it works as a sequel to book 6. Now, I feel like as a sequel to book 6, it's good. It's a okay sequel to book 6, because if you look at, there's 10 books in Malazan, right? So if you break it down by arcs, let's say books 1, 2, and 3 is one arc, and 4, 5, 6 is another arc, and then 7, 8, 9, and 10. I know 9 and 10 are like just one big book, so it makes sense, right? Book 7 is the start. You're starting the last leg of this arc, right? So in theory, this should be a slower book, right? You're not gonna have all this crazy action. You're not gonna have all this crazy. You're building up for the climax that is going to follow supposedly in books 8, maybe 9 and 10. So I feel like as a sequel to book 6, it's alright. It's okay. It's an okay sequel to book 6. As a sequel to book 5, because chronologically, well, not chronologically, but in terms of characters, we're returning to Letherus. So book 6 was 7 cities / Malaz City. And now book 7 is pretty much all of Letherus. and then, you know, a bunch of other like random dream realms and shit like that. Dragon realms. That's cool though. I like the dragon realms. The dragon realms are cool. So that's my dragons are cool. I do like the dragons. So where do I fall in all of this? So so I was excited because I love book 5. Book 5 was amazing. I love book 5. I love book 6. So I'm thinking, oh my god, we're I'm gonna blow past this series. Oh my god, book 6, book 7, we're it's over. I'm gonna fly past the city. And I wanted to return to Rulad and Troll and the Edor family and the Edor, but the Sengar family, I guess. But the Test Edor, I wanted to return to. I wanted to see what Karsa and Karian were doing. I wanted to return to Rulad. I wanted to see Telhol and Bug. I wanted to see all those guys again. And we do see a lot of those characters, and we do get a few new characters. The first third of this book, man, is just like so much like, I guess, politics. It's just like secret police shit. You have this secret police force, and you're kind of like seeing like after events of book 5, after the Edor have overthrown the fairy, and now they kind of rule Letheris, which the Edor kind of rule in name only, even because they're not really accustomed to all like the, you know, they're tribal people, right? So they're not really accustomed to bureaucracy and the idea of like governing in that sort of like sense, right? So the Lethro, they kind of default and just let all the Lethri do all like the actual politicking and government stuff, and they kind of just like say yes or no or whatever, which is a mistake. If you conquer a group of people, you should not leave them in power. I don't know. That's just my, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like, you know, colonist. I don't know. I don't know what the standard procedures are, but if you colonize a group of people, maybe don't leave them in power. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. And we get a little bit of Rulad, we get a little bit of all those characters, but not so much of my taste, I guess. You have Tenno, what's his name? There's Tehol, who I love, and Tenno. There's so many. There's Tehol, and then there's Tenno. Steven Erickson, these names sometimes. Can I just get like a Jack or a Mary? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. God damn. Robert. Just give me a Robert. like god damn, man. Yeah, Tenno, who is part of the secret police, is a bastard man, and I hate him, and I'm glad he's dead. So I won't get into too much because it's awful what he does to Jenna. Yeah, I mean at this point, if you're reading book 7, you're not really. Sexual violence and rape and things like that come up all the time in Malazan. That's just kind of, Steven Erickson isn't really afraid to write about those scenes. It does feel like sometimes it does get a little bit excessive. Sometimes it's like, okay, like, how many rape scenes do we need? You know, how many rape scenes do we really need? I get it. He's a bad guy. You know, like, I don't need 3 rape scenes to know this guy's a bad guy. The one scene where he, like, you know, beats the shit out of a woman, I think I get it, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's just Steven Erickson's style. It doesn't bother me too much because it's in every single book at this point. So I feel like if it bothers you at this point, it's just kind of is what it is at this point. And I'm glad she killed him, right? I'm glad Jeneth killed him instead of like someone coming to save the day, or especially like a man or something like that. So I'm glad that she was the one who got herself out of the situation and killed him, outsmarted him. So I think I think that's fine. I think that was a fine way to sort of end that plot line, I guess. Tehol and Bug. Here's the thing about Tehol and Bug. I love their banter. I love their dialogue. I love their back and forth wittiness. I love a good Tehol and Bug scene. I love it. I don't care about their storyline, if that makes sense, because their whole storyline is we're going to collapse the world economy. Well, the country's economy, not the whole world economy. Like that's their whole spiel, which feels very feels like, I don't know, very like going on with the world. It feels very appropriate with what's going on in the state of the world right now. Like, oh, we're just going to collapse the economy, and Letheris is, I mean, it's a very capitalistic society, which it feels like it sort of feels like an analogy to America. But I think Stephen Erickson has said that it's actually an analogy. It's an analogy of England, so believe it or not. But anyway, Letheris is a very capitalistic society, and Tehol hates that. This like sort of indebted system where you're just in debt indefinitely, and that kind of defines who you are as a person. Very much like a typical capitalistic society. And their whole thing is just to, we're going to, it's sort of like a Ponzi scheme. I don't know. The how they do it isn't really important. It's just more or less that they are doing this. They are going to collapse the economy, and they do it. And there's a bunch of riots. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it happened because I knew it was going to happen. I mean, it was hinted back in book fucking 5. It just didn't happen in book 5. It happened in book 7. So yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I mean, I kind of suspected it was going to happen sooner or later. Just based off of them keep saying they're going to fucking do it. Tehol and Bug, cool characters. I think they're very fun. I think they're pretty awesome. Yeah, that's about all I already have for them, more or less. Now we have Silchoth the Ruin, Saren Paddock, Kettle, Fear. Who else is in that group? I mean, those are all the important people and everything. You know, they're also known as the Fell Party, and I really enjoyed this dynamic because a lot of the time, because you have a group of misfits, right? They all kind of meet up with each other at the end of book 5. Timelines are kind of confusing at this point because book 5, even though it's book 5, is technically a prequel to book 1, which is weird, but you should read it as if it's book 5. So all the events in book 5 take place before book 1. So we're in book 7, and now we're on sort of the, correct timeline, right? This is now the present day timeline. So we're in book 7 now. So that means these motherfuckers have been walking around this forest for years. I mean, since all this time, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, and then now we're like caught up in present day. So these motherfuckers have been walking for years. It's been years they've been walking around looking for Scabandari Blood Eye's fucking soul. It's like, god damn, y'all been looking. So, and I kind of expected, like, you have this group of misfits, right? Because each of them, they're looking for the same thing, but they all want to do something different with it. So you knew there's sort of this conflict, right? Because Silchoth the Ruin wants Gavindari's Blood Eye's soul because he wants revenge, because Gavindari Blood Eye betrayed him in the past, like 100,000 years ago. Fear wants it because he wants to redeem his people, and he wants to bring the Sengar name to be clean and everything. And everyone else is just kind of there for the ride, I guess, more or less. They're just trying to escape the Lethery and the Edor at this point, right? So stereotypically, you expect, this is your typical, group of travelers, and they're gonna find this thing, and they're gonna become best friends, and they're gonna work together and have a good time. No, they all hate each other. they all hate each other the whole damn time. They do not like each other. They hate each other. They talk shit about each other. They fight with each other, and then towards the end, they all kill each other. They all just die. Not all of them die, but a good amount of them just die. Which I thought was a very good way to I don't know, change expectations, I guess. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. It's not what I was expecting, right? I was expecting this sort of like, I don't know, these characters are going to like start hating each other, and then over time they kind of like grow to like each other. But no, like there's definitely moments where like, oh, okay, like maybe this is salvageable. Maybe I could see a friendship forming here. But no, towards the end, they're like, no, we all hate each other. And we were just doing this because survival, you know, because it's easier to survive in a group than it is with like one or two people. And I didn't hate it. I don't know. I didn't hate that. I like that. I like that it's subverted my expectations. That's what I was trying to think of. It subverted my expectations, and in a good way. I think it was a good way. I think it played on the trope of like, you know, people coming together and you know, just for the sake of being with, because you know that's just not realistic. You know, have you ever been like in a, like, I don't know, like a group project with people? Yeah, sure, sometimes maybe it works out and you guys become good friends, but 9 times out of 10, like, you're never seeing these people ever again, and you probably hate their guts. You know what I mean? It's like, so I really enjoyed that. I think that was pretty cool. Kettle's death was hard. That fucking sucked. Do you ever get confirmation that she's Troll's, I guess, the Aerosol's daughter? I don't know the Aerosol. I don't think Keto's her daughter, but the Aerosol travels through time and space, and I don't know, man. She could fuck someone in like the future, and then the baby gets born in like 1,000 years in the past. I don't know. She travels through time and space. I don't think that's Kettle's her daughter, but I digress. What else? So Trial of the Ruin, total badass. One of my, I guess, out of the, I guess what you want to call them, I guess Mother Dark's children, I guess, even though they're all her children technically, but I guess all the Tis the Andy are her children. Tis Andy, Tis Edor, I guess Tis Logian too, right? I guess with Father Light, Mother Shadow, Mother Dark, not Shadow. Yeah, I don't know. I like So Trial of the Ruin. I think it's pretty cool. I'm missing some Andamanda Rake. I know Andamanda Rake's in book 8 because I read the synopsis. Well, not the synopsis, but I read like the back of it, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to read book 8 for Andamanda Rake, because we not seen him since book 3, man. Well, I guess we saw him a little bit in the prologue of book 7, but the prologue of book 7 takes place like 100,000 years into the past, so it's like whatever. It's like so many timelines. Like, oh my god. What else? So many like smaller plot lines. You have, or I guess we talk about Red Mask, because Red Mask was very brief. In the beginning, I fucking loved Red Mask. Red Mask, I thought was pretty cool. This sort of this warrior coming back to avenge his people and bring his people back to glory. And I thought he would have a bigger plot in the story. But then I remember Steven Erikson. Not saying Steven Erikson doesn't care about plot, because there is a plot to Malazan. There is a plot. But I think Steven Erikson is more concerned with themes. And I think he wants, it's not so much plot doesn't drive, I feel like a lot of the time it's never plot that drives his character's decisions. Sometimes it is plot. Sometimes the characters make decisions because this is what the plot, I need this character to do this, because otherwise X, Y, and Z can't happen down the line, right? Obviously. But I felt like Red Mask is a perfect example, is when Steven Erikson wants to write a character based off of themes. And what is a theme of Red Mask, right? He is this warrior who we never see his face, hence the name Red Mask. He wears a red mask, and supposedly he's a mortal sword for the Kachange Mall. I don't know. Which I don't know if we get confirmation if that's true or not. Which, I mean, the Kachange Mall kill him, so I imagine they wouldn't kill the mortal sword, or unless if he was like fucking up, which he was fucking up. And I guess the moral of the story is like, you can't really pick your leaders, right? Sometimes leaders arise for good or for worse, right? Red Mask came in a time when the all were at their lowest, and they needed to, they were being attacked by Elethary, they were being pushed out, they were dying as a people, and Red Mask comes like, hey, I'm here. I got my 2 change them all dinosaurs with swords for arms, and we're gonna fuck shit up, and we're gonna save you people. And then turns out, no, he's, he's like all people. Red Mask was also flawed and bit off more he could chew, and end up dying, and as well as the all died as well. Now I'm assuming there's no more all. I guess besides those like 8 children or something like that I don't know if we'll ever see again. But so yeah, so I think at first I hid that Red Mask died, but then I remember, well, what themes, I guess, is Steven Erikson, because he's a very theme driven person. There's a lot of plot lines that aren't necessarily important to the overarching plot of the story, but service themes. And Steven Erikson is a very theme driven writer, and I admire that, because I like themes. I think, books need themes, right? It kind of keeps the moral of your story, what am I trying to say? I don't know. I like themes. Themes are good. So I at first, I was first kind of disappointed with how it ended, but I think it's grown on me, and I think on reread it probably would sit better with me. Icarium and so I guess, well, should we break up? I guess we'll talk about Icarium and then talk about Karsa, which, yeah. Icarium, who is a character that we've been with since book 2. Well, I say since book 2. He made his debut in book 2, but then he made like a cameo in book 4, and we see him a lot more in book 6. Still doesn't really do much in book 6, and I don't know. I never loved Icarium as a character. I never found him to be like that interesting. I found him so much more interesting as a character when he was with Tarlok Veed than with Mappo. Because I feel like with Mappo was like the cool friend, the nice friend that was like, no, like, don't give into your impulses. Like, oh, you're a nice guy. Be a good person. Oh, it's okay. Like, oh yeah, like, But Tarlok Veed was like that asshole friend who's like, you want to see something burn? Like, should we light this on fire? And like, Karium's like, should we? Like, I don't know. So I always found him to be a little more. I found him a little bit more interesting when he was paired up with Tarlok Veed. I didn't like Tarlok Veed. I thought he was kind of an asshole. I think even Tarlok Veed eventually realized, oh shit, like, Icarium's too strong. I can't control him anymore. He's too powerful. So I thought that was pretty cool. All the machines, again, I think Icarium's storyline would just be more interesting when I do like a reread, which I will reread these books in like 10 years. I don't know. At some point I will reread these books. So yeah, book 7, super boring, man. I just feel like nothing happened for the first like half of this book. Karsa doesn't really do much until like the very end with Rulad, and it's just like, I feel like the first half nothing happened, and then the last half everything kind of happened. I will say the last half is much better, and the last fourth the last fourth of this book, amazing. I mean, I don't hate any of these endings. All the endings of these books are beautiful and amazing. They're great. Yeah, and then eventually the Malazans land on what am I saying? The Malazans eventually land on Letharis. Because after in book 6, after their fight in Malaz City, they escape Malaz City, and then I guess they're just on the ship for like a year and a half or some shit. I think that's what they said. I think they're on a fucking ship for a year. Crazy. Okay, whatever. We end up here, which clearly Tavor is. I mean, clearly she's like going after the crippled god. I mean, obviously, right? Like, why else would you go to Letharis besides, so you can go fight the crippled god? Which I'll get into crippled god later on. Because I I'm changing my views on the crippled god, not in a bad way. Just I guess how I see him as a villain in this series, and what does it mean to be a villain? I guess in this series, because Erickson's not really interested. Erickson doesn't really write like. I mean, there's evil people in this. There's pure evil people in this series, obviously. But the crippled god doesn't, at least right now, doesn't seem like he's evil. I guess if that makes sense. So yeah, what was I even talking about? Oh yeah, the Malazans, or the Bone Hunters at this point, I guess. They land on Letherus, with the hope of... this is where I feel like Tavor's leadership comes into question, because her plan is to, take over this whole continent, fight this entire empire with, like... I think they have, like, 1,000 people at this point. I don't know how many like actual soldiers they have, but I think it's around like 1,000, and they're gonna like, oh, let's invade this country. Okay. So a little questionable there, but again, I think that's kind of the point. I think we as a reader are meant to be angry at Tavor. I think that's sort of what Erickson wants to invoke. I think he wants to invoke a sense of anger, at least frustration and like confusion, right? Because I think he wants us to feel like, he wants us to be in the mindset as a soldier, right? Imagine you're a soldier and you're getting told what to do, and your commanding officer or your, boss is like not giving you the straight answer. That's frustrating and scary because it's a life and death situation, right? But yeah, so I think the story picks up a lot more when the Bone Hunters finally land on Letherus, and we get introduced to Beak. And Beak, my God, what a sad backstory. I mean, we get hints of his backstory throughout the book, and, his struggle with abuse, and his mother and father being abusive, his father being abusive to him. We get a little bit of his backstory sprinkled in here and there. But then him, like, watching his brother commit suicide was, like, that was hard to read. Yeah, and then sacrificing himself to save his crew was a beautiful scene. And Steven Erickson still writes beautiful sacrifice. He writes beautiful scenes. I'm trying to think what else. There's so much. I mean, the book is called Reaper's Gale for a reason. We lose a lot of characters. Characters who I thought were going to be here for a long time. I mean, we lose Troll. Troll? Yeah, Troll Sengar. I always fuck up his name. Troll Sengar. We lost Troll. We lose Talk. We lost Talk, man. We just got him back too. Fuck, man. We lost Talk. Kale's dead. That fucking sucks. Who else? In terms of important characters, is Akarium dead? I don't think Akarium's dead. I mean, maybe. I think he went into his machine. Whatever that means. I don't know. His machine. He went into his machine and some shit happened. I don't know. A lot of death, man. I mean, I think Trolls is the hardest one. The whole Sengar family's just dead, dude. Fear's dead, Troll's dead, Rulad's dead, Benedas, but Benedas is dead. Whatever. Yeah, it's just crazy, dude. It's just so sad, man. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm trying to think more about what else is there to talk about. Karsa killing Rulad was very sad. I guess we can kind of tie this along towards the end. This video is getting pretty long. So end of book 7, Karsa and Rulad fight, and pretty anticlimactic. I mean, I guess I don't really know. I mean, I guess I don't really know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting, like, I mean, I'm not really into boxing, but back in the day, it's kind of like Floyd Mayweather versus like Pacquiao and stuff, and like that was a huge anticipated fight back in the day, and it's like, oh my God, like Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao, like, it's gonna be, oh my God, it'll be such a big matchup and shit. And it felt the same way with Karsa and Rulad, and it kind of felt like one big wet fart, I guess, reading it. Not that, like, I don't know. I still enjoyed it. I still liked it for what it was. Again, Erickson and his themes. And not to say there aren't, like, cool, awesome moments. I mean, Hedge comes back to life. Onrak. Oh, fuck. I didn't even talk about Onrak and Quickband and shit. See, so much happens in these books, man. I can't talk about everything. Whatever. But I'll just get ready to end this video. So Karsa kills Rulad, and it's sad because you have the crippled god gives Rulad a choice, like, hey, you can have this sword back and go be with your brother, because your brother came to see you. Your brother wants, and like we know in previous POVs, Rulad misses his brother. He regrets what he's doing. He regrets what he did, and he wants to see his brother again. He wants to see his family again. And I guess it's up to Reader's interpretation. Like, does he take the sword to see his family, or does he take the sword for his own power and selfish ambitions? I guess it's up to for the reader to decide. I like to think that Rulad felt guilty and felt sincere and felt ashamed of what he's done, and I think he just wanted to see his family again. So he took the sword. And then Karsa killed him, and then Karsa chopped up his, decapitated him. Which I think was, I think that's, it sucks, but I feel that's kind of the way to do it with Rulad. I think, what a sad way to end a character, man. Sad in, like, not like a bad sad, but it's sad in a sad way. I mean, it's called Reaper's Gale. So a lot of people are dying, and it kind of makes sense because, like I said, if we're gonna believe in sort of this 3 arc structure, right? If you have books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, these are your 3 arcs, right? Book 7, under this logic, is the first book of this arc, right? And, you know, it kind of makes sense that, like, hey, look, like, we gotta kill off a lot of people here. You know, we got a lot of characters left who aren't really going to be that important later on. And it's sad to kind of see them all go. It's sad to watch them all leave in the way that they do. And it hurts a little bit. It hurts a lot. But, you know, that's what rereads are for, I guess. And book 7, I think, will be an interesting book on reread. Having the full context of the series and full context of the story and stuff. I guess in terms of predictions, I don't know. I guess Karsa is going to go back to Genabacchus. I guess we'll probably see Karsa in book 8 at some point, right? If he's going back to Genabacchus to reunite with his tribe. I guess at some point he'll meet up with them again. So that'd be pretty cool. And I'm assuming eventually we're going to have to start planning to fight the crippled god, right? And I guess that kind of gets into my views of the crippled god. Because in the crippled god, you have, in the very last scene, the crippled god is seen crying, right? Or I don't know if he's crying, but he's like screaming, and it's described as like a very like a painful scream, like he's screaming out of frustration or anger or pain. And it kind of took me aback a little bit because the crippled god is like the main villain of this story. He's the main villain of this book series, and it's sort of like if like Thanos started like breaking down, crying, like, I don't know, during one of the Avengers movies or something like that. It didn't take away my like my curiosity for the character, but I guess when you like, it's just making me examine the crippled guy, and even the name, even the word crippled, right? Which I guess in some, I mean, that's what he's called, the crippled god. But even the word crippled can be sort of a derogatory term, right? Like, look at that crippled, you know what I mean? So, and we know that how magic works in this series is that you have, you have gods, and gods can sort of influence and, control things and manipulate things to their favor, for good and for bad, or neutral purposes, I guess. And we know that, like, the more people that worship you, that kind of gives you more power, right? The more worshipers you have, the more power you have. but it works both ways, because now you are now beholden to those worshipers, right? And we kind of see that in book 6 a little bit, with Derek. Derek is, I don't really know what Derek kind of god he is, or if it's a girl. We never really see Derek. I don't know if Derek's a woman or a man, but Derek is a god who eventually we found out that Derek killed all their worshippers, because all their worshippers were like, hey, we want you to team up with a crippled god, because we like what the crippled god's doing. And Derek's like, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. And then his worshippers are like, well, we want you to. And Derek kills all his worshippers. And we see a little bit of that with the crippled god, right? We see that a little bit when he's talking to, I forget her name, but the former queen of Letharis, after the Edor seized control of the palace and stuff like that. She's like in like the dungeons or whatever. And we see that like the crippled god is like talking to her a little bit, and it's like he's kind of like you know, she's begging for his power, like, please give me your power, like I need your power. And he's like, I'm done, like you people, you have made me who I am. This is who I am now because of you people. So it's an interesting question of like religion and you know, what role do humans play in religion, right? Like, you know, is religion, do the gods make religion, or do humans? I mean, obviously like humans make religion, but it's like who influences religion, right? I guess I'm trying to say humans influence it, and we give power to it, because worship and belief is a sense of, it's control, it's power, it's you know, it's influence, I guess, right? Yeah, so I don't know what that means for the crippled god. I mean, I still think he's a bad guy. I still think he's a bad person. I don't think he's doing good things. But I think like, right, like this idea of like we were, what am I trying to say, man? We're, I guess, not scapegoating him. I don't know. Like we're like, his worshippers are influencing him to act this way, maybe, because they feel like they've been mistreated, right? Because the crippled god for religion is the house of chains. Yes, right? It's the house of chains. It's suppression. It's putting someone down. It's control. It's suffocating. It's you know, think of chains, right? You're being controlled. You're being like, you have no freedom. You have no mobility, right? You're crippled, sure. And a lot of his believers and worshipers feel very, you know, they're victims. You know, they've had bad luck. They've been down on their luck. They've been you know, chastised and yeah. So I don't know. I'm just sort of rambling at this point. I don't know. I just find it very interesting. Like, where does the crippled god, like, what is the crippled god's, like, what is his plan? And I guess, I mean, the last book is called The Crippled God, so I'm assuming we'll get more of that at the end of the fucking series. I'm sure we'll get more of that later on as well. So yeah, I don't know. Sort of, I don't know. It's just a lot of my beliefs. I don't know. A lot of things I'm questioning right now. Just thinking about the morals of the story and what's happening. So that's book 7. If I had to rank the books right now, it would be book 6, book 3, if I had to rank them from like best to worst, book 6, book 3, book 5, book 6, book 3, book 5, 2, 4, and then, oh god, I guess 7, 1, I guess. I like book 7 a little bit more than book 1, but not by much. Because book 1, I still think like this still is like a beautifully written book. This is a very like good written book. I enjoy Stephen Erickson prose. I enjoy his like his writing style. In terms of like fun, I think I enjoy book 1 more, but I still think book 7 is a very good book in terms of like, you know, in terms of like it's technical, you know, it's writing style. I think it's better than book 1. So yeah, I don't know. I know I shit on it a lot, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoy. You know, I enjoy some good parts and good scenes, and I think I enjoyed it for what it was, and I'm glad I'm done reading it. I'm glad it's over. But and now we get to read book 8, Toll the House, and I'm especially excited to read this book because I know a little bit of lore. Steven Erikson wrote this book around the time when his father died. So I imagine it's going to be very, very sad because I think Steven Erikson writes from the heart a lot. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of... also, look at this fucking cover. Isn't that just like the most badass fucking cover, man? But anyway, probably my favorite cover of a lot of the books. So yeah, Steven Erikson wrote that book when his father died. Well, I guess when his father had passed away. So interesting. I don't know. I'm curious how that influenced a lot of his writing, because Steven Erikson writes a lot of like depressing, dark passages. But I'm wondering how that influenced him. So, but this video is way too fucking long anymore. So, all right, let's go. All right, I'm done now. Done talking. Until next time. Bye.